Welcome to my morning report chart analysis videos on Thursday, the 12th of July with me, Richard Perry, market analyst at Hantec Markets. We have a sort of a mixed outlook today. There's been a stabilisation that we've seen. Sorry, that's the wrong chart. There's been a stabilisation that we've seen overnight, really, after significant gains on the dollar, really strong moves to the downside on equity markets and also commodity prices. Look at this sell-off that we had on the oil price yesterday, rebounding a little bit as the dollar, which had a really strong move to the upside, has just tailed off a touch. Now, there isn't really any sort of drive forwards on yields on the dollar, but even though there was higher than expected US inflation on the PPI basis yesterday, that sort of brings into focus today's CPI. So the potential for CPI to sort of tick higher, possibly even to 3%, although the expectation is 2.9%. It hasn't been 3% since 2011 on the CPI, so on the headline CPI. But it's interesting that Treasury yields haven't really ticked up, interestingly. So it seems to be that the dollar is gaining despite that. Now, what we have got today is just a slight sort of unwinding of those moves that we saw yesterday. Now, the key breakout yesterday came in the dollar yen, which I'll talk about in my chart appraisals in a bit. But yeah, really interesting key breakout on that. Big move to the downside on gold as well. Just again, just retracing some of that, but the yen hasn't retraced yet. Continues to weaken. Equity markets sort of ticking a slight bit higher. We had a sell-off on Wall Street, but then futures are higher today on the S&P 500, and helping Asian markets higher as well. So yeah, but the sell-off in oil was a really strong move that is slightly unwinding today. But yeah, there has been a decisive move against the oil price. So, where does that leave us in terms of economic data? Well, as I said, you've got the US inflation data today, which is key. And before that, you've got the industrial production for the eurozone at 10 o'clock, expected to be 2.1%. Let me see, 2.1%. And 1.1% on the month. But then you've got the core CPI, which is expected to, for the US, is expected to tick higher to 2.3%, and the headline at 2.9%. So these are key numbers for the States. And a little bit of jobless claims as well. Oh yeah, I've just seen ECB minutes for the meeting. Yeah, it's going to be interesting what the how sort of the ECB sort of dresses up its dovish hike, really. So that could be a focus today at 12:30, and how sort of it sort of leans towards the expectation possibly of rate hikes next year. So it is probably the thing that we're looking at on those minutes. But my chart of the day today is the euro yen. Now, I talked about yen weakness, and I've been going through this, and against the euro, yen weakness is now developing. We've had this downtrend on euro yen throughout February until June, but look at this. We picked up from 124.60. We've seemingly now left a higher low at 126.60, having broken out above that key resistance at 130.35, which was the June higher. Now, breaking above that now means we've left a higher low. We're now creating higher lows, higher highs. We've broken the downtrend. With that little breakout also now is testing, as we speak, this next resistance at 131.35, which was seen a couple of times through May. So a breakout above that really does gain traction, I think, in this recovery, because that would be two lower highs broken on the on euro yen. Two low highs within the sell-off broken, so it would really gain traction. And look at these MACD lines rising above neutral, accelerating above neutral. RSI in the mid to high 60s almost. That's the highest it's been since the February sell-off began. Stochastics also strongly configured. So this is an increasingly positive chart now developing. We can see here on the hourly chart, higher lows, higher highs. You've got this breakout support 130.75. Obviously, as I said on the daily chart, this old neckline at 130.35 becomes a basis of support now, and that is within a little mini uptrend as well. So you've got a nice confluence of support there, but the market is certainly accelerating higher. So any sort of unwinding, any move that unwinds the RSI a little bit could be seen as a nice little chance to buy. You've got a nice, as I said, breakout support around 30.75 area. So that could be a decent buying area if you were to see a corrective move today. So yeah, looking good for Euro Yen. So I wish you good luck in your trading, and I'll speak to you later.